Over the last couple of days, we have taken a look at the 7 learning styles. Let's take a quick recap on those. In visual learning, a learner utilizes graphs, charts, maps, and diagrams like this one.
Left, links, right, rechts, in front of, vor, behind, hinter.
Oral refers to a style in which individuals learn best through hearing, directions, and speech, like in this language learning example. Physical is a style in which individuals learn through carrying out physical activities. Verbal refers to the process of acquiring, retaining, and recalling verbal materials. Logical refers to a learner's ability to solve problems and learn through using numbers. Social refers to a learner's ability to interact with and understand other people and social situations. Solitary refers to a person's preference to work and study alone without social interaction. Students come to us with lots of different individual needs. These are some of the labels we were introduced to before they even walked through our classroom doors. My focus is on taking these labels and transforming them into these. All students can be creative, and through discovering these skills, you can identify their learning styles and cater for their learning needs. This is how my students illustrated themselves back in September. My job is to prepare them for the jobs that haven't been invented yet. Everyone was born full of creativity, and unleashing that creativity helps you develop and communicate new ideas, become a better problem solver, and discover new ways you'll leave your mark on the world. Let's take a look at the elements of learning and how they can be used to aid a learner's creativity. With a focus on the learner, we can identify the 5 elements of learning. These include real-life engagement like this one. Students were introduced to podcasting through a FaceTime conversation with Martin Coates, an educator from Scotland. The next day, they created their own podcast independently, and their social impressions hit almost 50,000. They've also had conversations with an LA-based app developer and a local animation company, Sminky Animation. Why did I do this? Well, I was looking to do something new in my class. What I wanted was to fill time. What I didn't expect was that some of the students would totally get into podcasting and start creating the very next day. One of the podcasts was an interview with Marty, an LA-based app developer. He had some great advice for the students. Let's take a listen to some of it.
So the one tip that I'm giving constantly, and I'm trying to do myself, is finding people who definitely need what you have. So there are people who like to draw or who like handwriting, like where we have, if you've seen, we have Japanese in the app too, like learning to write Japanese. And what I've constantly been told and I've learned is, don't find people who love your product. Find people who can't live without your product, who need it 100%. And what happens in a lot of jobs and a lot of people is, if you only give them the job that they are assigned, you don't know if they can really go beyond it, and that's not a good thing. So you're students right now, but some of you may or may not have other jobs on the side, or you may have done a summer job or other things. And if you weren't challenged or you weren't curious, not by your fault, but by the person working with you, then you may not know if you're right for that job.
Students practice critical thinking through coding simple instructions within an app. Working together, they can complete tasks and often find more effective ways of doing so. They also work as a team to publish newsletters containing stories and creativity from their classroom and beyond. They've also illustrated teamwork in fundraising for homeless people within their community. We can personalize our students' learning by giving them choices. There is always more than one way to complete an assignment. And finally, communication and creation by allowing them to find their skills and use them to create their own learning paths. Let's focus on those labels and how they can be changed with technology. When thinking about technology integration, it should always start with planning and teacher training. The SAMR model is a useful way of planning and evaluating the integration of technology. Substitution is a simple replacement of a traditional learning tools with technology. For example, the replacement of pen and paper with a computer and word processing application. Augmentation again requires little change to the structure of a learner's learning, but does have some advantages, including being more efficient, cost saving, and time saving. Modification allows for the redesign of a task. For example, instead of writing those 800 words, students might take an online quiz or create a digital book. Redefinition is my personal favourite and allows you to challenge the status quo and completely redesign learning. This allows students to be more creative and complete tasks that were previously inconceivable. Let's take a look at some examples of redefinition. As artists, my students created hybrid animals and brought them into their own environments, like this one. As coders, they design and develop their own apps. As photographers, they take and transform photos from the environments around them, like these ones. As curators, they animate and bring their stories to life. As authors, they publish multi-touch books for the world to see. As filmmakers, they capture, create, and share. As musicians, they create their own beats. Listen to these two very different beats by students who were both given the exact same task. Our job is to find the learning styles that suit our students and prepare them for the jobs that haven't been invented yet. Creativity doesn't have an age limit or a technology budget, it just requires an open mind.